Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And you know, I talk very often about XRP and Ripple, the ecosystem, the progress they're making, the corridors they're opening up, the partnerships. And I also talk about the perspective from Japan, because of course that's where I live here. And what I have noticed in the last 24 hours is there is a tremendous amount of coverage being placed on a new stellar development, and not so much coming from the West. A few articles, but really being played up in the Japanese media. And since Stellar is a parallel project in many ways to Ripple and XRP, I want to cover this. And you'll see that first, I want you to make sure you know about Satoshi Pay. They were founded in 2014. They do three things, basically: cross-border payments, micropayments, and they also created the Solar Wallet where you can buy, sell, and withdraw digital assets. I want to show you a picture of the team. And this is a team that is located in Berlin and London. So when they announced their partnership in 2017, it was a formal announcement. And you can see that in that announcement, all their transactions are done on the Stellar network. And it's kind of interesting for their marketing campaign. They did a promotion to onboard people by giving 500 lumens, or the digital native digital token, XLM, to the first 100,000 users. How lucky those people are. And if we look at June, just last summer, this is the CEO of Satoshi Pay, Meinhard Ben, and he's speaking about their focus with micropayments. Very, very similar to what Coil does. So they also have the vision to transfer value between every internet device, much like the Interledger protocol is also setting out to do. Have a listen to just the first 32 seconds of this, and I think it will give you a strong understanding.
A short motto for Satoshi Pay is micropayments everywhere. And the longer vision that we see for the world is to have transparent value transfer between every internet connected device. My name is Meinhard Ben. I'm the founder and CEO of Satoshi Pay. We make it possible for publishers in our first product iteration to sell content on a micro level, like digital content, a video, an article, PDF, and charge for that a very small amount.
So very similar to Coil. And Stellar has a managed fund. They do it through an enterprise fund that is the Stellar Development Foundation. And it's led by Danelle Dixon. She's the former COO, the Chief Operating Officer for Mozilla. So she had a big job, but she's joined Stellar in May of 2019. And just 2 weeks ago, speaking at Consensus, she said that they've been talking to a few governments about CBDCs because they are exactly the type of digital money that Stellar was designed for. So it's interesting. They are seeking that market, and they probably are going to see, I think, some success somewhere in the world because CBDCs are really coming on strong. Now, San Francisco blockchain event, October 28th through November 3rd. That was just this last year. And you can see that Danelle and Jed were on a panel, and they're talking about their focus. And the focus absolutely for sure is cross-border payments. And this event that they're also speaking of, called Meridian, is very much like the Ripple Swell event. And there's going to be an announcement there. And that announcement is about a consumer wallet that's going to have even a narrower focus on the Latin American market. And the Latin American market is really a market that Ripple is having a lot of success in. So no doubt they wanted to move to this market as well. This was going to be, that just occurred in November, Stellar's first conference. It's very much like Swell, as I said. They held it in Mexico City, and it's called Meridian. And it is going to take place again this next year. I think it takes place in November, coming in 2020. So have a listen to this portion and you'll see that, yeah, there is definitely something cooking in the way of a consumer wallet.
Demonstrates like what we're trying to focus on.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that we'll talk about at our conference, but I can allude to it here, is that we're launching this this sort of consumer wallet that's focused in Latin America. So we kind of wanted to make sure that we had a presence there, and we're dealing with lots of partners there. So it just made sense to have kind of a more Latin American centric event. So.
Yeah, so he's talking about the combination of why they chose Mexico City. It's because of this announcement that was coming out. Well, the announcement, I'm just sure, was with this Go Mama. On October 31st, they announced that they are going to create this money transfer on Stellar. And it was going to do it with the aim to bank the unbanked in Latin America. And it would be done with the help of the Stellar blockchain protocol. But if you were on the XRP Arcade website, which Leonidas has, you would have seen this article where Go Mama prefers Ripple to Stellar. Now, don't get it wrong. It's not because they're disappointed with Stellar. Not at all. The primary reason was Stellar requires more development on the payment corridors. And this is where we have watched Ripple lay down these rails everywhere, and particularly in the Latin American region, and it has really proven to give them a first mover's advantage. We know that the corridor between Mexico and the US is very liquid with XRP. It is the #1 corridor right now that is, I think, the envy of the world. And it also shows no signs of slowing down into the other countries in that region, like Argentina and Brazil, for example. And you can see here in the actual quote, because it's not because there is anything wrong with Stellar. It is all about the payment corridors. They don't have to do so much development work. So Ripple already has functioning payment corridors in Latin America. Stellar's blockchain is still a great interest for them, and it can create that faster and cheaper payment solution, but requires more development on the payment corridors. And what we have seen now is Go Mama is being rebranded. It is going to now be called eSend. And I think you can safely say that the customer was poached due to the jumpstart that Ripple has laying down those payment rails, which is why so many of us pay attention to those rails that open up, whether or not ODL is in it from the very beginning or not. You have to have the rails first, and then you have to have the market makers with the exchanges who are facilitating that on-demand liquidity before you can actually announce ODL. It's a huge process. It's not just a flip of a switch. I'm sorry, but it's not. So when we see that Bitso, the exchange in Mexico, is doing so well with ODL, I'm just positive that there's going to be other exchanges that want to participate in other parts of the world, because not only does Bitso speak highly of how it's helped their business, but you see that the BTC markets in Australia, they also have experienced an incredible amount of revenue, profit growth with being an ODL partner. So this is quite interesting. And if you want to follow eSend, you can sign up on their mailing list. They'll let you know about the launch. All right, now this is where the story for this video really lies. This is the news, the bit of news that's being released big time in Japan, and it came out on May 28th. The Stellar Foundation Development Fund, the SDF, has loaned the micropayments firm Satoshi Pay $550,000 in the XLM token. And they've done it because the Series A funding that they were in the middle of fell apart. The pandemic led to arranging meetings with those potential investors impossible. So those investors pulled out, but Stellar has agreed to give them the money in lumens, XLM, at a fixed rate, and then they can sell that into fiat for hard cash to provide a cash flow for the next 12 months. And I think it's important to know that this is a part of a shift, and I'll explain why that shift, that change, that refocus, why we see this happening. Satoshi Pay, by the way, just so you kind of understand where they're at, they're a company under Germany's Kurzarbeit regulation. That is where the government is paying 50% of the Satoshi Pay staff, which is great. It's a state-funded German safety net that keeps salaries flowing, similar to unemployment insurance. Almost 500,000 companies in Germany have sent their staff to this scheme as a lifeline during this economic shock. So I'm happy to see that those developers and people working on this project have also this support. But once that funding round is over, the SDF's loan will be converted into an equity stake. The relationship between Satoshi Pay and Stellar has always been close. They're allies, as the CEO has been quoted as saying. They have 2 to 3 calls every week on strategic matters. And the fixed price is unknown, so the exact convertible amount is unknown. And that is, of course, because they're trying to keep their equity valuation hidden. But we do know that the CEO would say that it's north of a couple $1 million. You can see here that they wouldn't give away the exact amount because of the equity valuation, but to give perspective, it would be less than 27.7% stake held by Satoshi Pay's biggest investor, the London-listed Blue Star Capital, which invested $700,000 back in 2017. So the lockdowns have had some positive effects, and it gave, in this case, the company more time to work on product development. And by the time that the Series A does take place, probably in 2021, Satoshi Pay will have a new B2B solution for cross-border money transfers and micropayments in public beta, so Ben said. Now, this is where I'm really seeing that there is a shift for Stellar, and I think it's going to get very interesting for them. They are moving away from just trying to get other people to just build on the platform. They still encourage that, of course, but they've realized that they have to build the first applications to show that real use case on Stellar. And I want you to listen to this portion, and I think the Satoshi Pay is that definite first move towards creating that example use case. Have a listen to this.
They've been focusing on what we need to do to make the first real world uses of it, of Stellar. We've kind of moved away from trying to get other people to build on the platform. I mean, we still encourage that, but we've realized that we actually need to take a little bit more of an opinionated view and like build the first real applications that people can use on Stellar. And we'll have some announcements about that along those lines shortly, and we're pretty excited about those for sure.
So that, I think, is great for all of those people who are holding XLM, because with this new approach to actually put some development money into examples that can be used, I think they're going to have a much stronger chance than just being passive about hoping people come and build on their network. So that is what I want to say. And that's why I think there was a lot of coverage of it here in Japan. I think the change and the strategic investment stake that they've taken, yeah, it's a big thing, and it's quite new. So, yep, that is all I have to say on that. I want to jump to the fluff now. All right, everybody. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been going to the COIL site that I started actually a while ago, but it has taken me kind of renewed focus to create new content on there. And from yesterday's Bluff, I got up an expanded version for everyone to enjoy on COIL, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. And thank you everybody for going and supporting me on this particular platform as well. I'm very, very, very pleased to see how just picking up some of this new renewed focus for me is really been fun. All right, so when we talk about where we're at in Japan, the state of emergency has been lifted. And what everybody has really, really missed is soaking in hot water. This particular country is blessed with thousands of natural hot springs. And this kind of hot spring in particular is called a Rotenboro. The Rotenboros are outdoor hot springs, and they have been opened back up with this new kind of stair-step change of opening. It's not 100% free, but there have been these first initial steps of getting back close to where we at least were before the initiative of stay home was placed on everyone. So when you look at these Rotenboros, they come in all shapes and sizes, and they are just part of the culture that when you do come and visit here, I highly, highly recommend to find one in a region that fits your style, because they come in so many different styles. Well, while people were staying home, there was one there was one substitution that became kind of popular, and this is Robo Yumiko. She's a motorized companion for the home bath. Yeah, she'll pour your drink while you're soaking in your bathtub, and she'll tell you things like good work today and cheers, among other different phrases. I think it's really, really the wacky side of Japan, which I love. But also what I love is the kanji characters, and this is where kanji gets very interesting. There are 4 characters for Rotenboro, and I wanted to just show you. The top character here is Ro. This means dew, like the morning dew on grass. The second character is the character for 10, which is heaven. And then this is Bu, or Fu, depending on how it's used in combinations with other characters. It does change its pronunciation. So we've got Ro, 10, Bu, which means air, and Ro, which means backbone, Rotenboro. And kanji is very conceptual. So if I were to translate this in a very loose way, it would be heavenly dew, like air for your backbone. Yeah, really. That's why kanji is so fun. And if you are coming here, wow, if you come anytime soon, you're going to get an awesome deal at these hotels that have Rotenboros, because they are advertising at over 50% off. I mean, the value that you can find right now is simply amazing. Here is one. So if you are a person who loves the mountains, this might call to your taste. Or if you're more of a person who likes to sit by lakeside, this is one that is near the 5 lakes of Mount Fuji. This one looks really great. But if you're like me, you want to go to the ocean. This is at the Izu Peninsula, and you've got a great sunset with the Pacific Ocean. Really the best of the best deep culture here that I want everyone to experience in Japan. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.